Okay, hello everyone. Today we try to review our course and moving forward. And today plan is to review some function parameter types and how to use it. And I have few slides made it yesterday. And in C++, function parameters you're able to use as pass by value, pass by reference, and constant reference. And when you have the function, like function f, and you have parameter n, if you would like to make some arithmetic expressions, you're able to do it like this. But in main, when you have different variable, like int x equals 3, and you passing through the function, here is making the copy in memory, and this copy is wastage or memory leak. And is everything fine, but in C++ world, when you're passing by value, sometimes maybe better choose passing by reference. And as you see here, disadvantage, when you passing parameter x pass through a function, then compilers creates a copy in the memory of x. And here is a memory leak. Better solution for this problem, there is another pass by reference, because in C world you're able to see a lot of different parameters with that ampersand symbol, ampersand, and when you're adding this symbol, that means you're passing not a value, but you're passing the reference, value reference like x. And it eliminates pass by value disadvantage. Like before, you're not creating the copy, and if programmer do not want that this value will be the change, if you don't want to change and create read only, maybe better to use constant reference. And in C world, you always will see that type of ampersands and const keywords. And that means when programmer needs to have read only value, it's like a constant, that word says that constant, and reference, you passing the constant reference. And if you try to make arithmetic expressions, it is not possible to do this, because here it's reference, as you see, const as const. If it is a const, you're not able to do any changes. And if you need to do some changes, you need to use pass by reference. Better solution, when you're passing some ampersand with our const keyword, you're able to change your value if you need it. But if you're passing only the variable, better use the const reference. And if using this one is also sometimes maybe it's okay, because if you have the computers which can hold a lot of memory, it's not a big deal. And of course, when you have the better practice, sometimes you need to use the pass by reference better. And in C world, maybe that one is best practice, and const, passing as const if you need only read only value, and if you need to change, like mutator and accessor, two types of values. And here that's it. Here it's some introduction, and now we're moving to the static functions. Sometimes you need to create static functions. Maybe I'll later show how to create the static functions. the functions basically is, if you have the static keyword, it's not depends to the object instances. You can't instantiate objects. You able to reach using the class name, and class name means that in that class memory block is holding some function static and some variables. And if you would like to call the static in static function some variable, you're not able to call the local without the static keyword. You need to add static keyword to variables also. And that's it. And this intro it's only for our some project for the task 5. Today I will try to show some task 5. And first I would like to draw some diagram which type of software we're creating. First we're creating class name shop. We take also product, and for the task 5 we need to look here and task 5, of course. If you have any questions, you're able to ask. I try to answer this if you need it later. And here, as we have the shop, of course we shop name. We have some parameters, name, maybe duplicate, or maybe enough the name. And we creating, I need to look here. We creating maybe some information. Today I will try to show some lambda expressions also in the C++ world from the C++11 version. Be able to use the lambda expressions to filter some information if you would like. You don't need to create separate methods. You're able to create as a function parameter, and this parameter mimics like a function. And later maybe we try to look into a map, search by keyword. Maybe we try also to implement in a simple way, and data input validation maybe later. First, our goal is to create a shop object, and I would like to introduce how to implement in C++ the classes and how those classes looks like, and what is a constructor, how to create constructors, and etc. And when we have some shop, we need to have shop name and maybe list made it from products or product list products. Yeah, we have some shop, we have the product list, and product maybe have some name, description, duplicate, we have price. I don't write the variable types, we need those fields. And we creating also as a methods void create, or I know get order it product list. Just we passing maybe the parameter is ascending, And when we calling this function, we calling void get order product list. We calling true or false. If we calling the true is ascending order. If we passing the false, we getting descending order. And if we need a basic list, we creating another function maybe. And maybe for now it's enough. We have two classes or two structures, better in C++ world using the class. And how to create this? First we need to start and create a new project. And here we need minimum C++ 11, and I'm creating C++ 14 and task 5 start maybe. And we creating the task 5 start. Maybe I zoom it a bit. And here, as always, you creating the main C++. Oh, sorry, we need to fix it for better performance. And of course, before we start, I would like to introduce the best practice to using namespace std. The bad practice, why? Because when you implementing your software, you always have the name collisions. And for that solution is be able to use the namespaces. Like when you're calling cout, you need to write std's namespace and cout. That means here you're using the some package or some different namespace which is have the cout. Maybe able to have your own function cout and in your namespace. And is it not problem, because it helps to programmers to solve this collision problem. Different programs have different ways how to solve these collisions. And for this duplicate, if you have duplicate names, better to have namespaces in C++. And if you're adding this std, you don't need to create this. And what is the problem here? If you would like to create functions cout, and as you see what happens here, maybe some error. Oh, doesn't see. But you see here we're creating the function cout, and here is cout as a variable or as a function. This is not working now because we're using std, and if you collide this name, you will get some error. That's why it's bad practice. Better to use the explicit to show that std here, and then you're able to use your cout. But if you're not creating the same name, for the starters, for beginners, it's really better to use std, using name std. It's easier to write because you need to repeat your std, etc. For every type, like string also is from std, list is also from std, and a lot of stuff is. And using namespace in real projects is really bad practice. And now there is new keyword auto. In some types you're able to write as auto. Auto means it's automatically faced with which type is variable, like auto it equals 10. And here you automatically say here it's int. When you need to use this auto, when you have the structures like list, I don't know, lists int AA equals, for example, list 11. If you have the list, you need to add include library list. And if you have like this auto keyword, it's really help a lot in this situation, because C language have a lot of stuff. If you write like std, like this, yeah, it's really hard to read it, and here there is no point if you know that on the right here is a list. Here sometimes you're able to write auto, and here it's help. Like you're able to use anywhere this auto keyword. But when you're learning some basic steps and you need concrete types, because now, as you see, the list is not used, and you don't know here is array or here is a list. And this auto keyword, it's maybe better use when you really know, or when you need to remove the boilerplate. And now we're just using the list as normal implementation in the old-fashioned, old way, in the classic way. And I just would like to show the first static function and static keyword before we start to create the classes, those classes. And static keyword. When you're creating some class name, like test, and in test you will have some functions, and index, maybe if test index, and if you'd like to create some either to, sometimes you need just calculate something, like to add to index +1 maybe, or just you need to just execute and get the result. And why you need to create the instances if you need only to sum two numbers, like if you have addition, and int maybe add int a, int b, and we're returning a plus b. And as you see here, you're able to create member as a static function. It's a recommendation. Why is as a static? Because when you doesn't have this static keyword, you need to create the instance of class. And test t call add, and you're calling 1 + 2 maybe. Oh, it's private, sorry. By default in C language is private here. You don't see here, but by default private. You need to write public. This field is public. And when you're adding this as public, you're able to use it. T add. As you see, when you need to calculate the expression, you need to create instance. But what is the point to create this instance? There is really no point to create for this function instance. Better to use the static keyword. And when using the static keyword, instead of creating the instance, you're able to call it a function, adding the class name, because class name and this, I don't know, square, double semicolons, or this symbol, it means like reference to this function. And using this name, it means that this function depends to test memory block. So, when you loading into memory the class, you loading the whole class. The class have some memory, like, and in this memory you will find the add function. And when you have like this, it's easier to call it, and you're able to call it anywhere without creating the instance. And if you're creating the instance, you need to track, like if you're creating the T, you need to pass in the instance reference, etc. It's really waste of memory and waste of time to create that functionality. If you need the basic functionality, which is really static, because this expression never changes, better to use the static keyword. But if you need to pass variable here, like index, like int maybe int c, I'm not sure how to. Okay, if you try to create like this, int c equals index, and as you see here, we will get the problem. Because index is not a static member, and if it's not static, that means this depends from instantiation, from instances. Because index, when you're creating the instance, and here is in separate, have some instantiations. If using the static keyword, you can't instantiate this, and you're not able to use it like this. You're able to create the instance, and then they get this index from the instance. But also it's not a good solution. Better to use the static keyword, and you're able to use it in static context. In static context, you'll always need to use the static. And of course, this static, at the moment, if you try to reach static index, you're able to do any plus equals 1 maybe. But here is a problem, of course, if you don't need it to reach from the outside and to change this value, because if you're changing this value here, that index, like if returning plus C or just returning C, we try to look output. If you returning C, you will get the value 1, yes. And now we try to output our tests index. Because there is no instances, we're running this. Oh, sorry, what's wrong here? Defined reference. Why it's undefined reference? Maybe need to have some public. I'm not sure now what's happening here. If we try to remove this. Oh, sorry. Also undefined reference. Okay, for now I leave it here like this, like before. Maybe we need to create constructor. In constructor we need to instantiate this one. Better leave for later. Just when you have some static and static index, you always need to call the static context. At the moment I leave this later when I try to solve this problem, not for now, maybe later. And for static, that's it. And maybe we start to create our first task 5, to create a shop and to create a product. And to create the classes, of course, you need to create the separate files, but I will show in the same file without separation. And when you're creating these classes, you need to write class, product, and product have some string name, string description, and we have some price, double price. And as a product, maybe there is, or get product list. In the product list we moved into the shop. And when you're creating the product object, here, as you see, here is a private by default. You don't need to write private, but here is a private. Those fields is private. In object-oriented programming, you need to hide these fields from outside because you don't want to share these fields to the other classes or to any place which is able to change these values. If we would like to create accessors or getters, you need to create some get methods for those. If we would like to create only the constructor, it's like a method without a returning function, and it always starts from product, like same name as a class name, product, and here if you need some parameters, like the same parameters, name, string description, and double price. Here it means when you're passing some parameters here, you're able to do like this in old-fashioned, in classic way, like when you have parameters, you always should say that this name equals name. This means it's really the keyword helps to not collide those name equals. This name equals shows to this field. This name equals name from the parameter, and if you have the same names, it's really big problem. You will get a collision. But if you use this keyword, this means like the product name. Of course, it's not the same, but this means like product name, product class name equals name from outside. If using this, it helps you. Oh, sorry, in different languages, sometimes without the arrow. And here it's old-fashioned or classic way. Description. This price equals price. And here you're creating the constructor. When you creating object, you're able to pass parameters, and those parameters by default you initialize those parameters. Let's try to use it. Is it working or not? Product, and we passing some values like name, maybe del, description del inspiron and 7110 and 8 GB RAM E7 7000K NVIDIA RTX 280 and NVMe 1 terabyte SSD. And here we have some product description. Just create the new lines because we need to see something, and we adding the price like 1250.00. Calling private constructor of class product. Oh yeah, when you have some constructor you will always need to create as a public because you're not able to create the object, and by default public should appear in the front of class implementation. Here you have product, constructor, here you have fields. Those fields it's private. Maybe I change to public because if you have a private you need to create the getters. And now we try to create without getters to check is it working or not. And here of course we forgot the name of instance del. Product del means you're able to call it del, get price name, etc. We try to output del description. Okay. As we see here, you will get the output of description. Of course, if those fields is public, we recommend to use the private. And if using the private, you need to change this problem and create public methods to get description, name, and price. And when you hitting the Alt insert, you're able to create the when you're using some programs, you really hate to create the constructors, accessors like getter setters. You're able to create here by default to generate. If we need to create constructor, you're able to hit enter and to create constructor when you're picking all fields. And as you see here, it's a different implementation of same constructor. In new C++ standard, you're able to write like this symbol, and here you're passing the name, description, price. Here it's been the same like we do like here, those three lines. Those three lines you're able to write in different way. And here you write some code. When you initializing your software, you're able to call inside this bracket some statements like here. Here is a classic way to use it, or here it's new way to use it, this symbol, and here write name, description, price. And as you see, here is a constant because if we creating the object and we would like not change it here, we use a constant reference. Of course, there is the functions which solve the memory or copying. When you're creating this, we're removing the as a reference. But here using std_mu function, which helps to solve memory leaks. But of course, here it's for more experienced users. If creating the generate the constructor suggesting IntelliJ idea, better to use the suggestion. Or just if you're learning in some material, like in some book, better to use those book suggested solution and use the same style for the whole program. Doesn't matter if you're picking this or that one, you use in all your program the same implementation. It's better readability, etc. Yes. And here also suggest to create a std_mu. If you would like to follow the IntelliJ C-line suggestions, you're able to do Alt-Enter and just leave it like this. It helps to solve without copying extra parameters to save some memory. Or just leave without a move functions, also working like a charm. Yes, and now the moving how to get the private values. If we need the accessor, like getter, read only, you're creating the getters. String get name function. Oh, sorry. String get name, return name. If you would like, you're able to write like this name. Then you 100% call that this name. And string get description. Here you're able to read your values, your private values, by public methods. Return this description. Here you're able to call it double get price. Return this price. And here is a classic way, or older versions works better, and in newer version I show the different implementation of getters. Later, of course, when you're creating using the C-line, of course I recommended to use this generator alt insert to generate getter setters. Doesn't matter which one you need to mutate value or to read only to get value. And now we have description, price, and name. And you have the private fields. You're not able to get like this because you would like that no one change your value. You call the get description, and the result will be the same. NVIDIA, RTX, etc. And here is calling encapsulation or encapsulation. It's like data hiding from desert, from outside, or from inside, from other functions. Like data hiding, and using public fields you're able to get these values. If you need to mutate value, like if you need to change your description, you're not able to do like this because you're creating the first time your description, and later if you'd like to change it, you're not able to do. You need to create a setter. To create a setter, you need to create a function. Function as a void because you don't need to return any value, and set description. Set description, you need to pass the new description, and this description equals description. And here also able to use move function. Here's not big problem. And set description function, you're able to change your description before you output. Del set description, and here we passing new description. Testing new description. Testing new description, and we printing out. And as you see here, we changed the value. But here you're able to control your class, and if you would like to change some values, you're able to do like this. Because if you would like to change your name, you're able to do if there is some set name. Because the private name you're not able to change it, and you're just able to create public methods, which just lets you to change some name if you need it. And instead of this, you're able to use alt insert, create getter. Oh, alt insert getter and setter, because we also already implemented. I'm just commenting here. Alt insert, we creating the getters like all those. And as you see, creating the const string and getter. Here, as you see, const string, as we learned a bit. I open this. Here, constant reference. That means this value never change it, because you need the read-only value. And here I'm not sure, because here it's new standard, new way when you're writing the const twice. Here it's new C++ fun added, but those function means that here it's returning the reference to the name here as a constant, because you need this only the value of name. You don't need to create the copies here, because when we have some implementation here, maybe we creating the copy of each instance of description or price or name that. And of course you're able to use also this string is like array, char array, because you need a reference. When you have double, you don't need to use as a reference, you need to return as a const price. And yeah, and that way is okay, and this one is also okay. The old or another solution to create getters, and of course we don't have the set description. You're able to also use alt insert, and I recommend it also use the generator. Better, don't need to write the same get set, always set description, yes. And as you see, const description passing the reference, and product description equals description. Yeah, here it's like a static mimic, calling the class name and get description. Here it's of course different ways to reach these values. And those getter setters, it's like common stuff, and you always need to create this stuff. Okay, now we have the product class which is implement objects to instantiate the objects using constructor, able to change description if you need it, and that's it. Able to get description. Check is it working. Okay, is everything fine? And now we need to create another class. And as you see, of course, if you have more classes, it's really hard to read it in the same file. Better to create separate files. At the moment I show when you have the single file, because easier to see, to look, to search in the same file for presentation. Class, we have some we have product and we need a shop. When we have the shop, in the shop we need to create some fields. We look here, and in the shop we need to create a name and list of products. Okay, we're creating the string name and we're creating list of products. We're using STL library, which is already have the list data structure, linear data structure. It's like dynamic array, able to add any amount of elements inside this list. And here products. And as we learned already, just there's alt insert and you're able to generate those stuff. We just move here and try to generate. We generating constructor, and when you generate a constructor, we don't need to instantiate the products list, and we just picking the name. That's it. We instantiating the name, and we have the products, and when you have the products list, we need to create some product void, maybe add product. Oh, sorry. Add product, adding product. Able to create a product as a reference. If you would like to save the memory, here it's able to static, but we would like to use not static because we creating more than one shop. Because when you have the classes and you would like to have more than one instance, better to create instantiatable method. Because as a static method, you're not able to have instances. If you're creating two shops, like here, we try to create some shops later. Here, shop, maybe, and here, electromarket shop, Walmart shop Verley. And here we're able to create these three instances. And if you have electromarket, we passing the name electromarket, Walmart, and Verley. Here is shop names, and we have separate shops which have own list of products. And to add product to the list, be able to use function products push back to add to list, or insert, be able to insert to some position. There is two functions, and here we're passing product. You just passing the product here, and we adding this to this products list. If you'd like, you're able to use this products, like to this class products. Now we need to return this product. And here is a private field, so you're able to write a private to really know that here is a private field, here is a public field. Maybe we move here. Oh, okay, Ctrl-Alt-L, and to private fields we have shop constructor to initialize name when you're creating object. We have the add product. We need to return list of products. List product. Get products. Get products returns products. Oh, sorry. Return. We returning the current list. When you're adding some products, you appending the list. Now we try to append some list. For example, electromarkt, product, del. And cout, maybe we need electromarkt adding more instances, product del. Be able to add as much as the same instances also to this shop. Now we need to print it out. We're using the for each or for enchant loop. For we iterating through the products. P is instance of product, and also be able to use as reference. Do not, when you would like to not create copies, use as a reference as an address. And here we passing the list of electromarkt. Get products, yes. We just looping this. Here also able, instead of product, use auto keyword, like write like this. Of course, it's easier to understand when you start in programming to use set of auto concrete type, like iterating through the products from the product list. And if you have a single line, you don't need to add those brackets, begin, end. Be able to use a single line and executing the first line always. And if you're adding more, it's not executing second line, it's executing first line in the loop. And here we just printing p dot, doesn't matter, get description maybe. Yes. And cout, we need to add end line, to print it in new line. And as you see, we got output for the del and spawn twice, because we have two instances added in our list. And we maybe create more instances here. Del and maybe Asus Acer, Asus, Acer, and here we just saying 150, 130, 50, 1900. Dell, Asus, Acer. Yes, and we have of course to change a bit here. Asus 5X, Dell, Acer, Acer Predator. That doesn't matter. Yeah. Predator 32, 9. Doesn't matter. Yeah. We have different data. We have 3 instances: Dell, Asus, Acer. Able to edit more to electromarked. Acer, Asus, and we try to output. And as you see, we have different list. Okay, and of course, if you try to print it volt-marked, you will get nothing. And of course, you're able maybe to create a function which is say that your product list is empty. Please create something maybe, or who cares, any of implementation. And of course, at the moment, as you see, volt-marked is different from this, because it depends to instances. And every instance gets those properties, and this function is able to control these properties. And now our goal is to order in some way. And how to order? Of course, when you have some list, you need to create also list. Product and get ordered products. And as we before say, like creating boolean value is ascending. Maybe I'm correct here. Return. Why it's never used. Okay. And always suggesting the static. I don't need the static because we have some instances. Get ordered products, and we would like to return products. It's working like this. Sorry. We are returning the product. And now our goal to, if we getting the ascending, it's like true. And if is ascending, else we creating other sorting order. Like here, ascending through equals, we just saying if we need 1, 2, 3, 4. When we have the false, or how to maybe adding here false, we just ordering 4, 3, 2, 1 like this. and if true, we need to order. There is the lambda expressions, which is let's using the list. I forget, I need to peek a bit. I just prepare sort. Oh, sort. Okay. List products sort. Its default function, and here you're able to pass the lambda expression. Lambda expression is like you're able to passing some parameters. Here it's passing some parameters. You see a lot of strange symbols here. They're able to create like your. Here it means like you inside a function sort, inside any function or method, you passing another method. And here is empty. There is some meaning. You maybe read a bit lambda expressions at home later after the session. And here inside this brackets, it means like you're passing that as a function, like void sort. Of course, it's not a sort. It's like this. You have the void sort and have parameters and have function functionality statements inside the function parameter. But when you have the lambda expressions, you don't need to write like this. You need to only parameters. And P1, it's like product 1. It automatically takes the product lists and takes the first element and takes a second element, P2, product 1 and product 2. And here you're able to return some result. And returning result is P1 dot, for example, you comparing by name. Name less P2 get name. At the moment you see here is some strange stuff happens. But here is a basic method which is takes some list, and from that list automatically takes the P1 and P2 and return it's comparing get name. If it less, like comparing function working like this. If like, it doesn't matter. If you have the numbers, it's better to explain. When you have P1 1, for example, and P2 equals 2, maybe. And when you're comparing, you just like doing P1 minus P2 equals 1 minus 2. And you get -1, for example. And that means that P1 is less than P2. Then you don't do anything. If you get equals, it's also the same. If you have more, you need to move forward, etc. It's like basic comparison here working. It's really easy to comparing. And when you have this implementation, I'm not sure now it's correct way. We try to check it here, and we copy the same function. You need to change only the this logical operator. Not logical operator or comparing operator. And now if ascending we doing this function, else we doing different function. And returning after we making the sorting. And now we try to look into our results. First we get products, yes. We printing maybe that one 3 times, and maybe I printed out some separator and line and line and line. Maybe we get new line. And as you see, if you're adding the new line, it's executing after the loop. If you don't have those brackets, it's like this. We have the 1 second, and maybe not volt marked, better electron marked, because we don't have our output in volt marked. Okay, we have the same list. Del Acer Asus, Acer Asus, Del Acer Asus. Maybe we need to change a bit name in B. Maybe we're adding as Lenovo. Lenovo. It's better to see the sorting. And as you see here, we have Dell, Acer, Lenovo, Dell, Acer, Lenovo, Dell, Acer, Lenovo. When you're using the same without the ordering list. And now we try to call our created function get ordered products true, and here we're creating get ordered false. And we try to run it. And as we see, we get basic list, starter list, Dell, Acer, Lenovo. After ascending order, we get oh, sorry, I forgot. Oh, what's Lenovo second one? Why it's Lenovo second one? I'm not sure now, because Lenovo. Sorry, because here forget to change Lenovo, because taking the Asus. Doesn't matter now. Asus here, and maybe we try to change to Lenovo, and here we change to Lenovo, and now should be correct way. And as you see here, here's ascending, or just maybe we able to write here ascending. Oh no, it's, oh yes, ascending, descending. And here maybe we add original. Okay, we have original list. Dell, Acer, Lenovo. We have ascending, Acer, Dell, Lenovo, and we have descending Lenovo, Dell, Acer. Everything works fine. And the basic implementation of ordering, as you see, when you're using the lambda expressions, it's really easier to do this. Some different languages also have the same lambda expressions, like in Java also there is lambda expressions. In C++, of course, you see a bit more strange symbols, ampersands, etc. But it's really not a big difference between those different languages usage. Sort is taken from the your list or STL library from here, from list sort, and you need only comparator, and here it's comparator. That how to filter this information you write in here, your own. And it's better to use this lambda, it's easier to implement. You don't need to create separate function. Creating the single function, you have true or false, and you have the products if you need the original order. If you need a sorted order, you're picking the sorted order. And if you're using the default sort method in big O notation, you're able to find in official documentation, but you need to check which version of C library you're using. And always you will get the best practices used implementing this sort algorithm. But if you need to create your own sorting method, you're able to do like to do this, because here it's the best solution for the list. If you have the tree data structure, you need to use your own maybe, or to use the basic sort algorithm also. And to use the basic, it's really not a bad idea when you're implementing in real projects. And now we have the ascending descending order, and we have some information, column data ascending descending order. Implement map, you need to do your own this one. And search by keyword, data input validation. Search by keyword. How to implement search by keyword? Easier way is to create new function. Of course. In the shop, you need to create search functionality. Just creating. When you're finding the element, you need to return this. I don't know what we need to return, of course. Maybe we need to return description by the, or just, if we find some computer name, we return maybe the price list or price and description. It doesn't matter really. We just return maybe maybe price and search price by computer name. Of course, in your goal in your practice, you need to create the different search function. Here it's one way. When you're searching some by some field, you're able to create more than one search filters. And here, search price by computer name. Yeah? We need to pass in string and name. And I don't know, maybe it's suggesting more, like as a parameter name. if we write a const, maybe it's also okay, because we passing the keyword, and keyword always will be there as a constant, because you're not changing. You're calling once with that value, and another, you never change this name. There is no point to not create a not const variable. Be able to choose in any like as we see before, it's really strange and really hard to learn when you're starting, when you have the function parameters 3 types. Maybe in Java, C# you don't need to think like this. Like you're passing the value, doesn't matter you're passing object or you're passing reference, it really will get the same results. And at the moment, better to use as a constant, because you're passing the read only. In C++ you need to think. In C# you don't need to think more. It's really C++ classic language, but really have a lot of thinking, and programmers maybe need to think more than when writing the code. Search by computer name can be static. I don't want to be static. I need the instances, and all instances need to find our own lists. Search price by computer name. Okay, first we need to read our list. Product. I don't show how to implement using the lambda expression because it's easier to understand how to search. But you're able at home for your practice to try to find a solution how to use the find function. Maybe there is contains function in lists. There is different filter implementation of the same goal, the same problem solution, be able to find different solutions. And of course here it's for your own practice to find this. But here I show like basic, I don't know, it's brute force or not, linear search, or like when you're moving through the whole list, and if you find a name, you just say it here, it's correct answer, and printing some information. Product, and we need to pass products list. And here we iterating the products. If p gets name equals, there is no equals, we just write equality function name. Oh, sorry, name. If p gets name equals name, we would like to return p dot get price. Else what we need to return else if we don't find anything? It's inspection. I don't know what's here. We return maybe return -1. Maybe here is wrong. Or just we don't need else, we just if, and every time we return -1 if we don't find the element. And What's going on here? Our name parameter and name. I know why it's suggesting maybe it's a lot of names added. Okay. We're creating n. And here it's yellow. Why it's yellow? No. See line, a lot of suggestions. Of course, you need to think before you're changing code. And search price by computer name. And search by computer name. If products get name equals name, return price, else return -1. And we have search computer by name. Okay, now we need to use our function. Maybe at the first I don't use the console to input some information. Or maybe we're able to use the console here. C input. And here we input, we need to input keyword string, keyword, cout, enter keyword, oh no, not, find product price by name. Of course, you're able to choose more complex searching. Here it's only if you find the right name, because if one letter it's mismatch, you're not able to find in the product. And your goal is to create more complex searching filter. String keyword. And when you're reading the string keyword from console, you need to pass this to your function. For example, electromarked have search by computer, search price by computer name. And you passing constring and constring and keyword. Sorry, keyword. And our algorithm returns 1 or -1, -1 or price. We just try to check it if electromarked keyword keyword equals not equals -1. We cout electromarked Here it's a big problem now. Getting we printing the single, the first product price. If you have the more prices, you're not able to print it more prices. Yeah, if you need, maybe you need to create the list of values. Of course, you need to marked. Maybe we change a bit this function to print it out without returning this. Const product, if you get name, instead of returning, we just creating void function. and here we just shouting out we printing, doesn't matter, n, and here we writing the price, here if you would like able to add it more, like p description, and here p get name, use the same instance, price equals p get price, oh sorry, get price, and when we calling this, we're returning all information and when getting the price. Or just if our goal is search by price, we just removing this description for more real situation here. Else cout your product not exists, and here we just passing and find product by name keyword, and we just calling the function electromarked, search by computer name, passing keyword, and try to find info. And here is the last thing today, and we look later into more details. Next day maybe we'll learn more or just try to finish this project. Find product price by name, ASUS. Your product not exist, not exist, not exist, not exist. As you see, is searching every time printing this. Not good here. We don't need to print this information, and we try to find different del. And as you see, del price 150 and del price 150. We get all dels from our list. If we add Acer, we get Acer price 190, 100. Okay, that's it for today then, and see ya. I'm not sure when your lecture theory will be. You have the tasks and at home you're able to do, and if you have some questions and you're able to ask through the email, and if you need to show your tasks, you need to get some assessment for your task, you're able to send through the email the GitHub link, or just say that I've done my GitHub account name is that, and I look in your code and write some mark later and grade it. Thank you for attention and see you next time.